Guys, Ken Scott, Senior, U.S. Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst with www.usentryWaiverServices.com. You guys are going to like today's topic. And what that is, just because you got a U.S. entry waiver before, don't assume you're going to get another one. All right, guys, Ken Scott, I got real talk here. Oh, I guess I don't. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I got distracted a little while ago. Um, don't want to bore you guys too much about what happened. Just some business I had to take care of. Like I always tell you guys, because we have so much work, sometimes it's hard to manage stuff. And combine that with staff shortages, it becomes insane. Anyway, so I was talking about not this other topic. Let me just see here. What was I talking about? No, it's not the one about the border being denied. Hmm. Okay, guys, so I'm back. So I really got to get my notes together here. We're talking about cross the border 1,000 times, you could still be denied. Okay. All right, guys. So this particular incident occurred today. We had someone call from Ontario, and the person who called, she basically said that her husband was from Iran. She's from Iran as well. And what happened was he's crossing the border. Now, remember, like I just said, they crossed the border 1,000 times before. But this time they hauled the husband inside, asking him some questions. And because back in the day, he had ties to SEPA, which is the IRG, Iranian Revolutionary Guards. The guards, CBP turned him around and told him, for what I understand, because I was looking through my notes here, told him to get a visa, told him to go to the U.S. consulate. Reason why they do that is because they want the consulate to do a more thorough, detailed check of you. And when the consulate does that, you know, he basically has to apply for U.S. visitor visa. That's why they're doing the check. So, but when they do that, it comes back, he's he still might get denied his visa. Then if that happens, even though he's Canadian, when that happens, he may not be able to get into the USA. The problem is because he was part of SEPA. Again, SEPA was part of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, the IRG. What happens is at DHS, at Homeland Security, when you're an Iranian male, if they think you are part of the IRG, aka SEPA, they turn you around at the border and send you back to Canada because technically SEPA is considered a terrorist organization. And because a lot of Iranian males here in Canada were part of SEPA, technically those guys have a lot of trouble entering the USA. Now, what some of those guys do, I'm not promoting this at all. I'm not telling you guys to do this. This is all for educational purposes. But what some of those guys do, and I know this for a fact, is they go down to the border and the border sees the person was born in Iran. This is for Iranian males only. So what they do is they'll ask you, were you part of SEPA? Ever part of SEPA in your life? A lot of times, at least over here, the ones who come down from North Vancouver, that's where a lot of Iranians live, they tell the border they were never part of SEPA. And the border guard says to them, well, why is that? It's mandatory military service. How did you get out of it? And apparently, a lot of these guys have like bad knees, bad eyes, bad ears, bad mind, bad hands, shakes, whatever. Whatever reason you can come to show why SEPA did not want them. The thing about that, and CBP probably won't like the fact I'm telling you this, is they cannot verify with the Iranian government if you were ever part of SEPA or not, because the Iranian government will give the US the middle finger. So because the US can't verify it, um, these guys say that. And again, I'm not telling you guys to do this, but because they can't verify the fact that what you were not part of SEPA, they let these guys in. I've seen it many times. The guys even tell me that the way they explain to me is that they've had these health issues that SEPA would not accept them. So, okay. I said, well, can we prove it, document it? He said, oh no, because I already know the governments won't talk to one another. So that's what some of these guys do. Well, more than some. This particular case, this guy admitted that he was part of SEPA. He's having a hard time to get in. There's another one out there in Ontario we have as a client. He went down to the border and told the same thing. He was part of SEPA back in the past. And I don't want to talk too much about that one because that one is still pending right now before DHS. Uh, yeah, I better not talk about that one some more because there's more to that story. It also, yeah, I won't say any more about that. So that one is still pending. I wish I could tell you guys more about that particular one because that one is really interesting. But all I will say is certain people involved in that situation didn't want to listen. They want to go the quick fast method, and a quick fast method is going to really screw them in the end. And I'll just leave it at that. But that's what they're doing. And that's the topic of why we put this video out about crossing the border 1,000 times. And even if you weren't part of SEPA, even if you weren't born in Iran, you could have crossed the border 1,000 times. And the thing is, it only takes that one officer to find that you're inadmissible. There's a woman who, if she's watching this, she knows exactly who she is. She had a fraud conviction from, I think, 35 years ago. She was crossing the border 35 years, never got stopped. The one time she got stopped was when she was trying to catch a cruise ship downtown Vancouver. Her family's like 50th family reunion, wedding anniversary, or something like that. And she begged and begged and begged on the phone. I said, there's nothing we can do. If the guard says no, he says no. And I even heard the guard in the background. He says, ma'am, I don't care who you call. You're not getting on that boat. So she missed out. And she even mentioned to the officer about her parents on the boat. I guess her dad was in a wheelchair. I guess he's in his 80s. And the officer said, well, if you want, I will go pull dad off that boat as well, and he can join you here. She said no. So she lost out on that trip. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think she told me that trip cost her, it was either 10K or 50K, but it wasn't cheap. She lost all that money. And the guard had the mindset, and he was right. I have to give it to him. You've had 35 years to fix this problem. Why did you not have a waiver? And I know why. She cheaped out, thought she could beat the system. Well, she beat it, but it bit her in the ass in the end. So it doesn't matter if you cross the border 1,000 times. If you're inadmissible, it takes one officer to find you or to find out your inadmissibility and turn you around. And guys, one of the mistakes you guys make is you have a issue of telling the officer, but I've crossed hundreds of times. You don't seem to get when you do that, you're throwing it in the officer's face how you basically beat the system hundreds of times. So if you throw in his face that you beat the system hundreds of times, why would you expect him to give you some leniency? That never made any sense to me. I don't know why people do that. And the thing is, a lot of you guys know you're inadmissible. You try to talk your way out of it, and the vast majority of you can't. You don't have the gift of gab like I do. And you guys get turned around and come in here, and then we, do the waivers, get you guys cleared. That's fine. But that waiver, you got to do for the rest of your life for the most part, depending upon your circumstances, because it's all case by case. But doesn't matter you cross that border 1,000 times. Doesn't matter if you cross that border 5 million times. It takes one time for them to catch you, and then you're hooked. So the way you beat that is you give us a shout at 604-562-8140, and then we'll sort your file out quite proper. Now, over here in Surrey, a lot of these people who need this service, they tend to have more serious crimes or allegations. And the thing is, for those people, they don't want to play this game. They know that how can I say it? They know that their stuff is out there. So they rather get it done right the first time. They don't want to do any work, which is fine. We do it all for them. So they come in, shake hands. We do everything, including the rehabilitation, letters of reference, explanation, obtaining the relevant court files, or if they were charged but not convicted, I guess because they're innocent, we can show on paper why they do not require a waiver, why they are not inadmissible. So we've got one individual he's got 5 charges for drug trafficking, a couple for home invasion, a couple also for possession of illegal weapons, allegedly. He beat every single one. The one he didn't beat is like a simple assault. And apparently that involved something about a debt that was owed. And the words got heated. Don't know what kind of debt. Didn't ask. But some kind of debt was owed. I don't know, maybe it was a debt, drinking debt at the bar, who knows, whatever. So that individual right there does not need a waiver, and people can't believe it. And I said, so what he did, he brought his friends over here to meet us, and they still coming by the droves. And they do normally tend to have like washing money, PPT, illegal weapons possessions, guns, possession of like clips, all that kind of stuff in that family. Uh, Maybe some fraud, but a lot of PPT charges and or allegations. Well, it is charges or allegation, charges and or convictions. But it's what it is, right? So remember, just because you cross that border 1,000 times, that means fuck all. Because if you're inadmissible, it just takes one officer to find you, then he's got you. Ken Scott, Senior, U.S. Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst with www.usentryWaiverServices.com. And it's 888-908-3841 or 604-562-8140. Remember, guys, give us a shout. We'll take good care of you. And until next time. And remember, please try to stay out of trouble. And I'm out.